What up?
All right, so it's a A24 film, right? Which already tells you a lot if you're
What does
into
it
film
tell
and
us?
TV.
It means it's hipster? What does that mean?
I guess that too, yeah. But they're like a little bit more artistic, a little bit more weirder on their subjects, right?
Okay.
And so what happens is like Justin Long goes to this guy's house.
Okay,
and he
real quick,
kidnaps
Justin Long. Is that the guy who's like, I'm a Mac and I'm a PC?
Yeah, it is. Wow, yeah. Dude, man, talk about a callback, man.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, Die Hard 4.
They turn him into a walrus.
4. No, his best work was I'm a Mac. Anyway.
Die Hard 4. I liked him in Zack and Miri make a explicit movie, but that's...
And it's directed by Kevin Smith as well, who's Silent
Tusk
Bob.
is? Yeah. I didn't realize he directed that. Yeah, it's a gnarly movie. I would not consider it, not watch it as a date night or with any children in the room whatsoever.
Unless you have good taste. Unless your date has good taste.
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of like the Human Centipede in that kind of realm.
Very on there. Yeah. Did it come out around? No, it did not. Maybe it did come around the same time too. I don't know. I feel like
I'll put it on the list.
So
Why not?
Earlier.
So long.
Yeah.
I never watched a Human Centipede. I was like, I'm good.
No,
I heard enough
the Human
people.
Centipede, the South Park.
The South Park one? Yeah.
I want the reverse. I want the centipede human. A bunch of centipedes that like combine together to make a human. It makes perfect sense.
That sounds like
Voltron version.
Voltron. It sounds like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. He's
all the comments in Discord are just like, "Oh, we're dropping straight into Human Centipede." I see it. I see it's a Monday.
Yeah, that kind of Monday.
This is the pre-show. Okay, this is not recorded. We're allowed to say whatever we want, except for we have our consequences, but we don't talk about that.
Oh, it is recorded. Huh? I forgot about that.
The South Park episode is very memorable too because there's a documentary and I forgot what it's called. Maybe it's like 5 days to air or something like that. But it's about how South Park used to just go from concept to final episode in like 5 days, and that was the one that they were creating in that thing. And just to go through the arc of them like tearing their hair out, like, oh my god, we're not going to do it. And at the end, like the FedEx dude is there to get the reel, and they're like, it's like everything works out perfectly each time.
Man, I
don't know how you could live with that production schedule, but also it does let them get crazy, up to date, way more current events focused stuff, which is pretty funny, I think, in general.
Yeah.
Oh, look who comes
I wonder
in
if they
last
still do that
second.
though, because it seems a little bit more structured now.
They release it different. Their release is different. They make more money. They just decide stuff. Yeah, it's definitely. I haven't watched since like Tegrity Farms. If you're a South Park watcher, you'll know that. I haven't watched since they moved to Tegrity Farms. It's been that long. But
I used to be Tegrity Farms now.
They did. Wow. Okay. So
Ryan, okay. Sorry, but people are saying in the comments that the pre-show banter is included on the podcast. Is that true? I thought it was post finger only.
No, I include that. I'll trim it if it.
Well, that explains
if it needs some
HR meetings.
That explains a lot of messages, uncomfortable messages I've received.
Yep.
So if it's worthy. If it's worthy of the podcast, I leave it in.
I think we should take it out, because then how are we going to talk about Human Centipede in the first 3 minutes of a podcast and not have it get demonetized?
What the hell?
Yeah, you missed that one.
Ralph's like, I'm not even going to say anything. It's January 19th, 2026. We made it. It's today. We're here for a news podcast, and I'm not the only one here. Luckily, I'm not just soloing it today. We have John Strand himself, who appears to be backstage at the Emmys or the Golden Globes.
I'm not. I'm in my son's closet.
Oh, now you just got a curtain. Okay, we see how it is.
So you're still trapped in the closet, but you've added noise canceling closet films.
No, I don't have noise canceling closet film. I have his clothes on his hanger that I'm talking directly into, which actually is fantastic noise dampening.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I mean, just for the record, we do have an office in Sturgis, South Dakota, and John has chosen instead to work in a closet. So if that tells you anything psychological about him, I don't know. We have Ryan, of course, making us sound good and look terrible. We have Ralph, who's here to catch some gators and tell us how he does it. The key is to catch them alive, right?
Yeah, no, that's why you take them alive and you put them in another pond and then you get called again. It's like, it's a business making business type of thing.
We talk about this every week.
I know.
We have Mary Ellen, who does a ton of work behind the scenes to make our news show happen, find articles, organize them. We have a lot of audience members that do that as well, but Mary Ellen's like the number one article poster. We have Beluv back again for another trip around the podcast sun, I guess. However we want to call it. And then we have Fawn. Fawn is here. I cannot pronounce his last name, but I'm sure he can introduce himself. He's here to talk about his workshop later this week. You want to plug your workshop?
Yeah, that was my cue.
That was your cue.
Yeah.
Go.
Hey, everyone. So I'm doing, on Friday, I'm doing a 4-hour workshop with Anti-Siphon. And it's kind of the third in a series that I've done on malware development. And in this one, we're basically going to start with a basic framework, a C2 framework. And then we're going to add a whole command handling system to it. And we're going to implement a reflective shellcode loader. And it's going to culminate in us popping calc.exe on a poor hapless Windows endpoint. So
that is my favorite C2, calc.exe.
Oh, yeah.
And are you in a closet or no?
I'm in an office, but it's a very tiny office, but it actually does double as my closet. All my clothes are hanging over there. So. But I'm not speaking into it. It's a side muffling kind of
John's
deal.
like, interesting. I should hire this person.
But I wonder if it was like, at what point does the closet become an office and the office become a closet? It's confusing.
That's actually what I'm in. This is just a bunch of closets that turned into an office.
I feel like I'm doing this whole running a computer security company thing wrong. Like, I feel like I should be posting pictures of myself with supercars, or I should be posting pictures of myself flying first class or with nicer watches than the Garmin that I have.
You had that option, and instead you chose the closet.
I did. Out of all of that stuff, I chose the closet and a folding table with questionable stains from beer pong on it. I feel like I'm missing something here. So we'll see. So
with the magic of venture capital, you can lose it all. Anyway, last person, we have Wade, who's here. I don't know what dendrologist means. Does that mean like you cut people's hair? Is that like a tree thing? I don't know what it means. Explain.
It's a scientist who specializes in dendrology. Duh. No, it's the study of trees and other woody plants. Hence the logging reference.
I see. Nice.
Get it.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So what news? What news do we want to get into first? John, is there anything on your radar that you just want to drop as a hot potato?
I just came off teaching for 4 hours. My brain is mush. I'll throw in crappy hot takes. Like if someone else wants to bring up a news story, we can talk about it. I think that's fine. But,
we have a few good ones. I mean, one of the first that's just kind of a funny one, I don't think we need to spend too much time in it, is that China has advised, or I guess Beijing, the government, has advised Chinese firms to stop using Israeli and U.S. cybersecurity software. So it's like the Uno reverse card of geopolitics.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it does make sense. I mean, I think they're specifically focused around like Palo Alto networks, CrowdStrike, stuff like that.
It's definitely a blanket of like all of them. If I think it's like middle of the article, they're just like pretty much all cybersecurity everywhere. The funny part is like Fortinet's on that, and I'm like, you guys are the ones hacking it though. Like,
I thought
don't you need these vendors that you have stuff to hack? Yeah. Well, okay. So here's a question: like, is this the equivalent of like if we banned buying stuff from China, like you just can't buy anything? Like, are there actual good top leading cybersecurity products that don't originate from those two countries? Because it seems like 99% of them are from either Israel or US.
A lot of the stuff that China has in this realm is shit that's IP that they've stolen from these companies anyway. So I don't
Jin
know.
Yang building all like in Silicon Valley, Jin Yang has like the Chinese version of all this. It's like Chinese CrowdStrike.
And I'm not ripping on it and saying it's a bad thing. I mean, way to go, China. But honestly, I'm surprised that this wasn't a thing sooner. I'm just shocked, right? Like, not necessarily from a security perspective, but just from an economy perspective. Like, basically, China is one great big huge venture funding capital company, right? They're just worth billions and billions and billions of dollars, and like why they wouldn't be forcing people to use Chinese company software because it helps build their own economy is something that's just surprising to me anyway. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's more at the heart of this than it is the security issues with these products.
I was surprised with the companies who are actually in China. Like, it lists the people who are being affected by this most, which is, I believe, who actually had stuff in China. I think it was like Broadcom has a whole bunch of Chinese stuff, Fortinet and Checkpoint, which great.
So you're saying that, yeah, well, okay. So, I mean, of course their stock prices have dropped, etc. I mean, someone in chat brought up an interesting point, which is like, what percentage of the Great Firewall, or how much of it is the US based firewall technology, right?
It's all open source technology, just ripped.
What is it? PF-Sense? Like, what?
Exactly. It's IP tables, actually.
IP tables? Oh my god!
Don't rip on IP tables.
Okay,
they
John,
actually use the free
hipster
version of active countermeasures on the whole firewall.
Hold on. If you're a real hipster, IP tables is the crappier, newer product. EB tables is the real product that you want to be using.
Are we going to do net filter? Or are we going to go back to that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on this article. I think the main conclusion is the same as John said, which is, how is this not already a thing? Because having a U.S. company with access for like an EDR, like CrowdStrike, it's basically a C2, right? They have full access to all the data. They can.
Ron is like malware of the day article coming up for CrowdStrike. So, yeah.
Most of these vendors don't even sell in China, though. Anyways, right? Like, I think 90% of them, they're like, they won't sell to China, which is also
because they don't want their IP to get stolen, right?
Yeah.
This might be in the article, but I'm wondering, what about U.S.-based companies that have offices in China? Do they have to switch out from these vendors? And
that's a good one.
So I don't know.
I doubt that, because usually I know the Chinese companies that have bases in US have completely sectioned off networks where they're not supposed to allow, like, there's a clear wall where only Chinese are here.
The national guest Wi-Fi.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. From what I was told, like, even the Chinese workers like usually ask, like, hey, can we get access to this? And they're like, no, you can't have access to, like, legally, like, we cannot give you access. So
the last joke I want to make is, some say that China's soon going to switch to using a Huntress trial license for their EDR.
I just found it funny.
Crack it just so, I mean, but that's something they would do, right? They would just.
I found it funny. Even China's getting off Broadcom, right? Just.
Oh, ouch!
That's when you know it's getting bad. It always was bad.
Yeah. We can talk. There's a decent amount of convictions. We can just like hot run through them, or like pending court cases. A lot of people are getting caught this week. First of all, a Tennessee man pled guilty to hacking the Supreme Court electronic case filing system. This, I think, happened. It was late last year. I remember when we talked about this. And yeah, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, or whatever, whichever way you look at it, it was someone based in Springfield. They intentionally accessed a computer without authorization on 25 different days. What they accessed has not been disclosed, so we're not 100% sure. But like Wade brought up in the pre-show, the Supreme Court's proceedings and all that, like a lot of that stuff is private. So, that is kind of a different. Typically in the U.S., the court system is wide open to the public, but with the Supreme Court, that isn't the case. So, who knows what they accessed or how much they're going to get in trouble for it? But It seems like the court system might be a little biased. I wonder if they'll get off because they'll say that there's a conflict of interest for the whole court system wanting to protect itself.
Did they ever talk about what the vulnerability was that he was taking advantage of?
There is another link to the article.
Probably
he was only 22 as well. If you do the math.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have, at least from the court documents, which is all we're pulling from right now. I don't think it's basically just accessing a computer without authorization.
Someone probably left default cred somewhere.
It's a really super short document.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is literally a 1-page document. So there's not a whole lot of details in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also...
I thought for like the Tennessee Supreme Court, I thought it was interesting that one of their solutions was like, we're just going to move everything to paper. And rather than doing cybersecurity stuff, we're just going to, everything needs to be filed by paper instead, just to not be hackable.
I don't need a phone anymore. We're just going to send notes.
We're going to get, there's going to be an article later on for dumpster diving. Man dumpster dives and finds.
Yes, finds.
Yeah, exactly. Paper's so much worse. There's no chain of custody. It's like, who touched this paper? A lot of people. All right.
This is wild. These court documents are like 1 to 3 pages. I'm just trying to find anything about this. Like, it's just kind of crazy.
Continuing with getting in trouble, a hacker got 7 years in prison for breaching the Rotterdam and Antwerp ports. That was a 44-year-old Dutch who was, the arrest happened in 2021. He was convicted in 2022, appealed multiple times, and now has finally been convicted. Gets 7 years. I don't know exactly. I don't think we covered that breach, but basically it was a media drop. So it was a USB stick containing malware. So he was like, the world's worst pen tester, I guess, or best pen tester, depending on how you look at it.
USB dead drops, classy.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised anyone still falls for those, right? Like,
the other interesting thing with this one, I hope there's like a Netflix documentary about this at some point, because it says that he also got convicted of he specifically hacked the computers to facilitate drug trafficking, and he imported 210 kilograms of cocaine. So more than most pen testers need.
That needs to be on the top of the article. I felt like that's more impressive, right, than anything else. Like, my first thought was like, why is he trying to actually hack these if he's just some regular dude? But that totally makes sense. Wow.
I hope there's like a dramatized or a documentary about it, because it would be really interesting to see, like, on a technical level, how do you actually go from breach to importing cocaine? Like, is it like when they go to scan the container is just like, not cocaine? Like, I don't know.
Maybe it just says like change the record to say it was already inspected.
Yeah, that could work. That's a good way to think about it. It's like this container's been pre-cleared or something like that. I don't know. It's probably less interesting than I'm making it sound in my head, but it could be interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Nice. Any other convictions?
There's one from om.nl. The article is actually in Polish.
Okay. Why is it in Polish if it's .nl? I'm very confused.
Never mind. I don't know. I totally screwed that up. I was thinking. I was reading another article
for the same breach.
I think it's a different breach. 3-year-old man under international surveillance.
I see.
This one Dutchman, sounds like someone just testing Dutchman? Out malwares. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, this is .nl, so it's written in Dutch.
It's written in Dutch, my bad.
No shade for not being able to identify Dutch versus Polish. I don't think I could either. I'm just going based on the TLDs. But yeah, it's an interesting one. What did he do? I'm confused. He enabled criminals to develop malware.
I'm wondering.
Like, he just ran virus total, basically, is what I'm reading.
I'm guessing he probably started up a fake company, went and bought anti-malware from big vendors, and then allowed people to test malware there.
What?
That would be
nice. Is that illegal?
Yeah, is that illegal?
John, we have to shut down this security company like right now.
Right now, because reasons. So
unrelated to the article, actually.
Unrelated to the article. I'm gonna go make a call.
Yeah, this in other news. Yeah,
I don't know.
Speaking of trying,
I mean,
oh, sorry, I was going to say.
No, you're good.
I was going to say. Speaking
segue, take it away.
Shut stuff down. It sounds like the U.S. Government's trying to get rid of Nipper, right?
No.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Nipper is essentially like the non-secret or non-secure, even though that's not actually true, just the non-encrypted, but that's also not true. I don't know how to describe it. It's a place that you can go browse Google. It's a network. So in the government, they separate out classified networks. So you have your Nipper, which is like, in essence, connected to the internet that we all know. Then you have SIPR, which is information that's classified as secret. It's actually on separate everything. So separate routers, separate switches, separate cables, separate everything. It has like a separation, like a physical separation between the two. And then finally, there's top secret, which is also the same exact thing, all different equipment. But in the article, they're talking about actually moving away from using a Nipper at all and just having just commercial internet. So like instead of having a separate network the government maintains for you to access things like Google or your unclassified email, you would just go onto the internet like you would know. So
I have a lot of problems with this. So I think that part of this originated from the idea that NipperNet is kind of neglected and kind of a train wreck.
I'm sure it is.
At least last I looked, right? It's just, if you look at all of the like classified networks, if you're looking at like CyberNet and JWIX, and then CWAN and GWAN, right? Because you have different WANs available for government people and contractors as well, because that gets into all kinds of weird things like, how does somebody from Lockheed Martin do their timesheet when they're in the classified facility and they're not in a Lockheed Martin facility, and they don't, it gets complicated.
Like
if you're looking at like NipperNet, I feel like there's been a lot of problems with NipperNet. And honestly, the right way to handle that was try to put some security around it, try to come up with some standards and do that. But the hard part about NipperNet is like everybody's fighting over it, right? Like even if you look at GWAN, CWAN, SIPR, and JWIX, right? Where you do those delineations from a handoff from like the FBI to the CIA to the NSA to the NRO to DHS to all of these government agencies, it's really hard to say who is definitively in charge of it. Even if you do, the different groups, they want to maintain responsibility for their own network segments. And I feel like they chose the wrong answer. That it's like, you know what? F it. Everyone's going to do their own ISP. How's that sound, right? And
it's a huge missed opportunity to do a branding deal with like TrumpNet or something and be like, I use the best internet. The government, it's good. It's military grade.
Why did you put that into the ether?
Okay, it doesn't. It could be any large ISP, but it would be funnier if it was just a completely made up one that's just like, it's still Nipper, but they just rebrand it. Like, it's all it's a simulation. Anyway, go back to actual real discussion.
So I feel like this is just a way of like somebody clearly high up in the government, they put in charge of trying to deal with the situation, and they clearly just threw their hands up in the air and said, screw it, we're just going to get rid of it. Everyone hates it.
I love that though.
Told what to do. You're all going to have your own ISPs. You're all going to pop out on your own. You're all responsible for your own crap. Good luck. And I'm willing to bet the meeting was like, and if you guys don't take care of your own connections, then bad things are going to be coming to you. Eric just put in mil spec, quality at the lowest bidder. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but this even comes down to classified networks too, because essentially classified networks were dedicated lines, right? Like I described that. But eventually they moved to carrier grade delegations between those, right? So essentially they could write commercial fiber, right? And that is your bulk encryptors that they have, which are classified encryptors. I wouldn't say classified, they're a part of classified programs to send encrypted data over transit fiber, right? That also has normal internet, okay? So this was something that they like worked in to get that to happen as well. And
here's the big problem with getting rid of NipperNet, right? So if you look at a lot of standards, there's savvy and there's T-savvy, top secret and below interoperability, and secret below interoperability, where there's standards for how you integrate a classified network with an unclassified network and a high classified network like JWIX down to like SIPRnet, right?
It's not a NIPR drive. That's NIPR drive.
If you're looking at how these things are connected, like one of the things you said, I'm going to push back, where people are like, SIPRnet and JWIX is completely isolated. It's not. It's effing not. Okay.
Yeah.
There's lots of different guards that are basically designed for transferring data from the low side to the high side or the unclassed side into the classified side, right? Because you're going to be pulling that open source intelligence. You're going to be pulling it in for ingest and analysis on the other side. And this is one of those concerns that I have with just getting rid of NIPRnet and these standards that exist. Is NIPRnet itself was just a train wreck years ago when I looked at it. I'm sure it got much better, but it was a train wreck, right? And I don't see how having everyone setting up their own unclassified network POPs that possibly can be tied into classified networks is somehow going to be a better approach. Like I said, it clearly looks to me like someone got put in charge of this. They looked at how difficult it was, threw their hands up in the air, flipped the card table over, and are walking away at this point, which I'm not going to disagree with, because that may be the best option going forward.
When clients do this, like when we're doing a pen test, and I'm like, they're just like, all right, be honest with me, how bad is it? And I'm like, I would just completely decommission this entire system. And they're like, and then they actually do it. I'm like, nice. Because a lot of clients that try to schlub something like this along for years, like the retesting is always like, still vulnerable, sorry. And they're like, oh, well, the developer states, and I'm like, nope, sorry. And then it's like 2 years of that. And then eventually they're like, nope, ditch it.
Then you get into the point where they talk to their lawyers and they're like, we can't get the developers or the systems administrators to upgrade this. If we get breached, what's our liability? And the lawyers look at the past 3 pen test reports and go, bad. It's real bad. Like if you haven't fixed this in 3 years and you've been told for 3 years it's bad, that's all on you.
And it looks like in the article too, like it's also a usability issue. Like the one person sort of saying like, I'm Secretary of the Army and I can't print, I can't use Teams, I can't do it. So it sounds, it's also like it just doesn't function very well.
But that's the whole point of bureaucracy.
I read that too, and like I said, that welcome to working in a classified environment. It's just,
but I do like the fact that every executive complains about not being able to print. Now there's some universals.
Feel that pain. So when are they just going to get rid of printers? There you go.
Ooh, good idea. Then we don't need them.
Okay, John, stop rocking the boat. Listen, we already got rid of NIPR. That project's going to take 10 years to complete. By then we can talk about printers, all right?
One thing at a time. Pump the brake.
One thing at a time. All right, what else is going on? There's some potential minor geopolitics in Europe. This is kind of an update to a previous story where essentially the Polish former justice minister, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. It's way out of my wheelhouse, but he was convicted of embezzling money or facing charges for embezzling money. And then I guess he was like, hey, I got a buddy in Hungary who can take me in. Is that cool? And somehow that went through. And so he's now a Polish fugitive in Hungary, which like generally you don't go fugitive in the like same European bloc that you're already in. Mm-hmm. I feel like.
It seems like Hungary has a history of this, though. The Hungary guy who let him in is in the same party, for one thing.
Right.
And then he also got caught for the same thing, and they let somebody else in for the same thing. Pretty much running spyware, throwing Pegasus on people's phones.
So Hungary is running basically like an asylum service as a service. It's like, pay us. If you buy us a yacht, or whatever, you can come take asylum here. It's like Switzerland. We're neutral, but we will take all your money. So come bank with us.
We're not that neutral.
We're neutral, but we're not that neutral. Yeah, that's a good one. In AI space, interesting, I guess. There's
this now one.
This is the Grok stuff.
Grok. Okay.
So this is kind of gross. If you want this to be a children's podcast, first of all, what are you doing here? Second of all, you might want to skip this article. But essentially, the California AG, the Attorney General, is investigating Grok, which is Elon Musk's AI tool, for non-consensual deepfakes. Apparently, Grok has something called a spicy mode, which has the functionality to...
Of course it does.
Which, of course it does, I guess. It's super creepy. No other AI has this, to my knowledge, right?
I mean, no other person's this creepy.
No other AI that's like claims to be a reputable company has this capability, right? That like ChatGPT doesn't have this, Copilot doesn't have this, Claude doesn't have this, but essentially people can use it, I guess, to generate deepfakes of other people or like have it undress someone, and it gets gross and there's like kid stuff involved as well. So
I thought they didn't fix this; they just put it behind a paywall.
Well,
maybe I remember that. I remember them talking about that. I want to say even OpenAI talked about that, making like an adults-only version of all their AI products to do things like that.
Apparently, Elon Musk says that it's never generated anything illegal ever.
Ever.
By his definition of legality.
It will refuse. It will refuse to generate anything illegal. We know AIs, they're super hard to jailbreak. You don't...
So I remember my first child porn case that I ever worked. It was actually a guy who was drawing child porn art. And they basically were like, yep, that's not illegal. And their whole take was, well, it's not illegal because there's no victim. It's just drawings, right? And, I guess I can kind of somewhat understand like the twisted logic to get to that point, but I can't help but think that that's how Elon Musk is trying to cut this is like, yes, it's generating these images, but they're not images of real children, right? So
that would actually make more sense than what he's doing. What he's actually doing is claiming it doesn't generate the images, that there's very clear proof that it does generate.
Yeah, I know. Because in the lower right-hand corner, it says Grok, powered by Grok.
Yeah. Well, it has to watermark all of them.
And I just...
Oh, the watermark makes it legal. I think that's how it works.
And someone joked, they're like, well, now Grok's in DoD networks. So that's good to know.
Oh yeah, that's true. There's another article. It's a smarter AI. It's definitely more.
It's a better Grok.
Yeah,
it's the Grok of war, not the Grok of defense.
Yes, the Grok of war. The other thing I was going to say about these large language models doing, malicious or not great things is that a lot of the open source models are catching up to the frontier models, right? The frontier models will always be ahead, but to the point where it's like good enough, right? Like, and so we'll probably see more of that in different spaces where it's not, one of the big four frontier AI models that's doing this, but some other smaller company that has, access and set up one of the other open source models that's good enough to do,
So, okay, I don't want to. This is kind of gross, so I don't want to dig into this too much, and I almost don't want to ask this question, but. There's not necessarily... is there a legal precedent for the prompts themselves? Would those be illegal? Would the images be illegal?
No. Like, honestly, if you really want to dig down to where the illegality is, and this is the thing that like keeps me awake sometimes at night whenever they're talking about anytime these AI models have created this type of protected illegal images, it was trained on that. What data did it get for the training? And that's the thing that really bothers me, because you can come out and say, well, they're not real kids, see? But it was trained on some data somewhere. And that ultimate data that's underneath the hood, and this is something, if we had someone that was going to prosecute this, that should be the question that they're asking. So if it's generating illegal images, the question that should be immediately asked is, how in the hell did the AI model learn? What did it train? What was the data set that it was trained on to generate that? And that's
and we have in the past talked about researchers who found there was a researcher who was trying to train his own AI, downloaded an image data set, and then his Google account got locked because it said there was CSAM in the in the image training set that he was using. And so basically we know based on that there are CSAM abuse images in large training models. So I guess
now it is saying CSAM found.
So okay, how do we? What is the if we were the California AG or whoever, and we were designing a set of rules around this, what would you design? Would you say that the prompts are illegal? Should this be illegal? Like, because on some level, you don't want to police AI too hard, but also it feels wrong to be like, oh, you can just type whatever you want into AI and it's legal. Like, hey, AI, how do I hide a body in my backyard? Like, should that be legal? Like, I don't know.
Is it illegal to Google that?
It's not illegal, but it could be used against you in court, right?
I think it happens quite a lot too. I've seen many cases where they're like,
we've already seen that starting to happen, right? Like one of the forest fires that happened in California, the guy asked ChatGPT, like, "Hey, would I be liable for this?" And it said, "Yeah, you would be." So,
and there are certain key phrases. It's been a long time now, but back when I did forensics, like there are certain key phrases that if you are looking for that, you can put them in, and that it's like there's like secret phrases that those types of folks know, and they know to put them in, and it's really disgusting. And it's like a secret like language, like it. You wouldn't even know it, but like when you put it in, it'll get you what you want. It's weird.
So I guess James Randolph brings up a really interesting point in Discord, which is arguably you do also need some training data that is CSAM so that you can train CSAM prevention models, right? Like that's an interesting angle.
That's been done for years. So
the
FBI, there's this function. It's Mary Ellen. It's KFF, known file functionality. Is that it? I want to make sure I got it right.
Yeah.
So the FBI, just we're going to use them because they have a monster database of child pornography. Now, it used to be whenever you were working these cases, and this is right around when I started working and was working some of these cases, is an agent, well, you as a forensicator would go through and see something, and as soon as you saw something, hands off the keyboard, you're calling in an agent. And then the agent would look at it, and then they would go through the rest of it, and then they would make a determination, they would do lookups. The problem with that is that it psychologically destroys you over time. Yeah. So what they developed was a monster hash database. This is like the earlier incarnation of it. They created this monster like hash database of known child pornography images, right? So an agent wouldn't have to actually sit there and look at it. And if you're working a forensics team, you wouldn't have to look at it either. Or just go through, it would hit the hashes in the KFF, and then it would bring back and say, these 23 are known CSAM. Now, eventually you would have to have somebody look at it, but you wouldn't have to go through absolutely everything on someone's computer system. Now, as that progressed over time, they started developing better image recognition models because the people that do this stuff are wicked smart. They would go through and scramble files, they could scramble hashes, they would do all of that stuff to try to get around this. So then they developed better models that could actually look at the images and then correlate it back to known images again, because the hash would be changed. And that gets into a number of really cool image recognition utilities. Now, somebody bringing this up, there are absolutely AI models that are not connected to the internet, I hope, that are literally just being fed huge farms of all of that previous child porn data. And then basically you can still have the forensics tools do that analysis, and then it can basically give you a determination. Now, that is a legitimate tool with a legitimate purpose in life for law enforcement, right? That's different than what I was talking about. Whenever we have these AI models that are public, that you can ask it to do this and it does it, that means somewhere in that training data, it got a hold of some bad data that it should have never gotten a hold of. And I think that that's where the illegality, and that's where there should be some law enforcement research, basically saying, how in the hell did your AI model even learn about this in the first place?
But I am curious, though, is that always true, or is there like a level of inference that it can like deduce that that's what it's looking at? What I mean, like if let's say I make something up, like I have a picture of a parrot in the style of MC Escher, right? Mm-hmm. And it can recognize that, but it didn't really train on a picture of a parrot in the style of MC Escher. It trained in a parrot and an MC Escher. So it could like infer that's what it was. No. I'm just kind of like being devil's advocate out loud here, and obviously not trying to challenge it or apologize. Yeah,
I can answer that. The way the system is trained, is any of the images that it's trained on are known real victims of abuse. And the reason why, the reason why, What's that?
I'm talking about this not the one the forensics use, but the one, let's say Grok, that's able to generate it. I'm curious, does it mean it had to be part of its training set? Or can it take two separate concepts and combine them to produce that?
That's the question. And I think that's the thing that should be investigated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting that there are some states that have laws against deepfakes or are making laws against deepfakes. I think Florida has one. So, California is the thin end of the wedge here. Like, this is probably going to go a lot further. We know AI is tied up in all kinds of legislation right now in general, but I don't know. Even if it's not child stuff, even if it's full adult stuff, it probably still shouldn't be allowed. Like, hey, let me make anyone naked. Like, that shouldn't be a thing that companies are providing as a service. In my
it shouldn't
opinion,
be a thing. I mean, there's ads for it though. And I think for Grok keeping this in the mix, they may be looking at it saying there are competitors that are doing this. So rather than have everybody leave X in order to go get the stuff done somewhere else, they're like, we're just going to not bother and let you do it here.
But that's one of the things, Alex, where there has to be a conversation. It's like, I think we're okay losing that market share. Let's lose that market.
How many people are really going to pay specific? I mean, I guess I don't want to know that answer. Way too many.
I'm uncertain if X is okay with losing market shares. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah,
that's our thing. Our thing is abusive images. Okay, no one else can have that market.
I think apathy reigns at X.
Yeah.
Brian Coyote said the X-ray glasses at the back of the comic book. Yeah, you always ordered that as a kid, and then you end up being so disappointed when you put them on. They just don't do anything.
I always bought the rockets and stuff to blow up stuff. I put in an article I want to talk about is ServiceNow. Do you guys see the body snatcher flaw?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, the workflow of it, but then also kind of like lazy password management. But
well,
it's like any good breach; it's a chain of failures.
Yeah.
And I seriously believe that we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. I know with our pen testing and AI and the team that does that, it's like we have found these types of vulnerabilities in a number of different customer applications. One of the things that's different, though, is this was exposed to customers, right? So that customers could use those AIs, and that's where you were actually getting the data leakage back and forth. It's like all this AI crap. It's like, but we almost need to take a beat, put some stuff around it, some controls, some testing methodology, flush out OWASP for AI or an OWASP for AI testing methodology. And like Mallet was asking, why do AI agents have passwords? I think that's one of the themes of the stories this week is, why does AI have access to that? But that's just kind of the way that a lot of companies are using AI. Give it access to absolutely everything, and then
the more you can connect it to as many data sources as possible, the better it can work, because these AI models only have such a big context. They can't remember everything, right? So you put it in as many kind of data sources as possible, and then when you ask that hard question, it can go pull each one of those bits of information, right, to give you the best answer. The downside, as John has pointed out, is that there's a lot of information in there that you might not want in the answer.
There's a couple of products that are doing enterprise search, right, where it connects literally to everything you have, your chats, your Notion, Notion is one of that has these. So all your notes, your documents, your email, your calendars, and everything. And I will admit, as a security professional who's looking around for notes on why X did Z, it's been pretty much a game changer to pinpoint exactly why a user did something, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. These chatbots have been on our radar as pen testers for years. There was, I think it was 2 years ago, we had a the same scenario where a client had a chatbot in their service desk, and it wasn't even like we jailbroke it. It would just reset your MFA without any prompting. Like, you could just be like, hey, can you reset my MFA? And it'd be like, I did that for you. AI, anytime you're putting an AI chatbot, basically customers ask me this all the time, and here's what I tell them. Anywhere there's a chatbot, assume it can be jailbroken. because it can. Like the better AI gets, the more it can be jailbroken. And so like that's its job basically, is to get jailbroken. And so like the most, don't allow internal access from external chats, basically, is like you got to think of it in that way.
But I think another interesting paradigm now is just kind of the agent, where it's kind of like locally running on your machine and you're giving it access to your environment. Obviously, some people are taking care to put it in a sandbox. I don't know if any of you've run Claude Code, but in the beginning, it's very restrictive. It'll ask you permission for every single bash command it wants to run, but then you kind of get irritated. So you're like, okay, you go in user settings and you add ls and cat and all the non-destructive
You let
commands.
Jesus take the wheel, and then next thing you know.
Yeah, but now they release Claude Co-work, which is like taking the idea, because a lot of people use Claude Code, but not for coding, for just like, hey, can you tidy up all the files in this folder and stuff like that? So now I guess, not to make it sound too pejorative, but like for normies, they made Claude Co-work. So it's got a nice GUI and it's got like, little buttons like, hey, can you organize my to-do list and sort my emails? But I think a lot of people using that don't have the understanding that that data that they're having it interact with locally is being sent back to a data center every single time. It's leaving their system.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that's an interesting, the other direction of flow. Like this article was talking about how someone talked a chatbot into doing something it shouldn't have done. A company was hosting the chatbot, but that same thing applies to a user of a company using a third-party chatbot, and all that information is leaking. Like that's crazy.
And I've seen where like I've dealt with vendors that have put chatbots into stuff, and a lot of times they'll have the aspect of, well, it's only meant in order to do these certain things, and please don't beat it up. And I'm here to say that, like, please don't is not a security control. Like saying, please don't try to jailbreak it. It's like, it's supposed to be very simple, and it's supposed to just kind of, help you navigate the, find things in the menu to where it's sort of like, well, if your interface is hard to use, adding an AI to it isn't going to help.
The other thing too, while these chat assistants and large language models, foundational and all this other stuff can and should be expected to be able to save every single thing you say, we also have to assume they can't save every single thing you say, okay? There's just not enough space to do all of that. They don't make any money off... Well, let me phrase that. They want to save certain things, maybe, and it is possible they could be using that to sell to advertisers or other things like that. I'm not saying that can't happen. What I am saying is they can't store everything. They don't have... If they could, we'd have the smartest agents already, because they would already have the memory to remember everything I've said.
From the corporate security space, right? Yeah. Think about most of the contracts these corporations are saying you cannot train your model off what we're saying, or you can't even log what we're providing. I'm interested to see, like, when one of these big chatbots or chat provider AI providers, are they actually telling the truth, or like do they have back-end logs?
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. People think that they're like some special snowflake and they're not going to be able to solve some business problem because they didn't have that information. Maybe they don't need a credential that's sensitive inside of there. I get that, but they're just going to continue to make models that are smarter, whether you give them the data or not. It's irrelevant to the equation.
I have a product for you that'll manage your credentials for your AI for you. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. So it is funny though to think about, like, if it's trained on, if these AIs are trained on like normies, quote unquote, and you have like you go to the AI, you're like, hey AI, I need to find something, and it like opens up Ask Jeeves and types it. You're like, no, I didn't want it trained on the grandma data set. I wanted it trained on the Gen Z data set, and then it just goes to TikTok and like types in whatever topic you're looking for. It's like, no, not that either. Stop. I wanted like the professional businessman version. And then it's like, I don't know. It is funny to think about, though. Enterprise isn't that special, but and for every company that's not okay with their data being shared, there's probably at least one that is like, for free, I'll share everything we have because I can't afford to pay for a private model or whatever. So anyway. John's broken. John, what's going on?
I do want to call out one thing. So this is a recommendation to App Omni. For their article. It's a really amazing technical article that Aaron Costello put together. Really, really, really well done. But it's missing something incredibly fundamental to this entire thing. You're using this for marketing, and I'm talking directly to the people at App Omni.
What article is this?
This is the App Omni body snatcher thing, the agentic AI article. Where we're talking about for ServiceNow on it. And one of the things I want to call out for this particular article for body snatcher, once again, extremely technically well written, shows high level of competency. The one thing that is missing is you have a disclosure timeline where it was disclosed to ServiceNow October 23rd, 2025. And then ServiceNow remediated it and sent emails to customers on October 30th. Other than that, there's nothing in this article that talks about the collaboration and working with ServiceNow to get this remediated. And if you're a company that's going to be specializing in doing this type of work, you really want to highlight how did you work with ServiceNow? And it's entirely possible that ServiceNow were just mean and they weren't great to work with. And saying nothing is better than saying something bad, and I can understand that. But anytime you're doing these types of disclosure, coordinated disclosure timelines, it's really important to highlight, like, how did you work with ServiceNow, rather than just dropping a couple of dates into it. So one little recommendation, but other than that, the article was incredibly well researched and incredibly well done.
I think and that's a good, like a really good call out is like, if AI firms or AI companies that are implementing AI products are looking for a vendor, you're going to be top of mind. So having that communication there is pretty good.
Yeah, because if I was another like company like ServiceNow, you want to work with these guys, but this article doesn't tell me what it's like to work with you. So
the other thing, I guess, like, just kind of a thought that popped into my head is like, if I was a CISO or some other executive, I would want like a list of all the agents we've approved into our corporate LLM or whatever, because like, how do you even limit the blast radius? Like, let's say there's a breach of your AI system. Do you even know what data could be impacted? Like, how many things, if you allow people to self-service integrate, like, oh, well, one sales guy integrated Salesforce, so that's in the blast zone. And also one marketing person integrated Jira or whatever, so that's in the blast zone. It's like your token sprawl could get so massive. I would almost want a list of like what agents we've approved.
How do you find out if a employee has used a LLM in some way and sent that data off to solve some small problem at their job? How do you know that?
Web proxy logs, I guess.
No, yeah. I've done
this. You can do this outside of the computer too, right? Like copy and paste. Like, it's being monitored. So you put it on your phone or something. Like, I mean,
you have your phone recording the screen and transcribing backwards.
Yeah, well, you can't protect anything from a cell phone,
you can't protect everything. Everyone loves to sell you the product that says there's no way you can copy this thing. Every single time we did a DLP test, got that data out. I think
you can always get that's the thing with DLP. You will always be able to get the data out. It's how much trouble is it going to take for you to get it out? And I have seen people fired over copying, pasting code into AI browsers or into an AI prompt via DLP tools. Like, you
better have the proof. You better have the proof in the DLP to bring that forward, right? Like, you can't just be. But my other question to you is, how many companies do you believe are doing it at that high of a level and can afford that kind of thing to make sure that's what's happening inside their company?
Every company who has DTEX can see that. I'll tell you that right now.
But I think Wade makes a good point, because the general sense is now the models are all converging and models are becoming commoditized. So why go through all that extra effort and risks to use, say, Gemini instead of Opus 4.5?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it doesn't.
It's the old you have to give them the ability to use that tool, so they don't use one. You don't that.
Yeah,
they're not allowed to, right? And
it's provide the Spotify effect, right? Make it easier to
make it easier for them to use it,
legal than it is to steal it. Because my point with you, Wade, is that you're going to spend all of this money to try to stop something that is inevitable anyways, right? Like, you're just putting your hurt on your employees, and spending a lot of money to do it, to prove the point that they're just going to do it anyways.
Can we argue that's just cybersecurity anyway?
Yes,
though,
exactly.
right. Like, at the end of the day, it's all governance, risk, and compliance, right? We tried to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
But I will argue one thing about cybersecurity and business. The business is about making money. Cybersecurity is just trying to prevent that data leakage, that security piece. But the business's business function, how it makes money, that's top priority, man. It's top priority over the security piece, right? Because you have to make money or you don't have a business to do cybersecurity, right? So you have to balance those two things. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying forget about
no, I totally get you.
It's the same thing as... Yeah, it's the same thing as why do we have insecure conditional access policies? Because the CEO wants email on his phone.
Yeah,
right? It's like the same thing.
You're going to get rid of him for
the
that.
best you can do is put it on the risk registry, right?
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do.
I said so, but
I've been in that exact argument, and like the one thing I've learned in cybersecurity is as a defender is you rarely win an argument with sales. Depending on what you're talking about.
Depending on how your company's aligned.
Very, yes. But most of the time, the salespeople are going to try to do as much as they can with as little as they can. But you try to always don't block them. Provide them an avenue. Push them this way, not just stop them.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 5 minutes left. I think it's a good time to announce the CTF winners this week. So as far as the people who, I guess there's two CTFs. The first CTF is the anti-siphon training CTF. The first place prize goes to VLVLVLVLVLVL.
Good name.
Who won a year of on-demand access to anti-siphon training, any course you like, which is pretty amazing. And then Asaza has won one training course of their choice, which is super exciting. And then there's a second CTF somehow. Black Hills InfoSec also had a CTF, and Localized Chaos took first prize with 1 year access to on-demand training. And then Skill 404, aka Not Found, won one training course of their choice. That's amazing.
And also
username.
Tom 3842. They shared.
Oh, there was two winners? I thought that was the same person. My bad.
I thought it was two separate people.
We have lots of winners this week.
And
everyone else, you're not a winner. Sorry, no trophy for you.
Localized Chaos. Thanks for having a name that we can clearly understand what your name is. We appreciate that. So
yeah, thank you for that. And then I guess the last thing I want to do before we get back into chicken articles would be to plug your workshop. Why should I show up? I'm a budding malware developer and I want to learn how to make malware. What are you going to teach me?
Yeah, I mean, I would first off say that I don't really think it's just for malware developers. I primarily identify as a threat hunter. So why am I into OffSec tooling? Well, I read about a cool threat, and it's not like I can go download every malware sample to run the threat myself and see it and develop detection vectors. Once you know how to create a tool, you're no longer subject to using tools that you can access or buy. Like everything opens up for you. Any idea that you have of, I wonder if I could do like something that Sunburst kind of did, but use a null record instead of a text record. Well, go ahead, go and do that. So being able to create your own tools empowers you completely, whether from the offensive point of view or the defensive point of view. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the same thing as like, why do I recommend that pen testers learn how SOCs work? Because you got to know your enemy, right? Like whether you're a threat hunter or a pen tester, you got to know how the other side works. You will learn something. I guarantee you. Like you will 100%. Pick up tricks and tips from blue teamers, and blue teamers, you will pick up things from red teamers. That's the best part of this industry is when we work together.
Speaking of know your enemy, were we going to pitch the new Orange book?
I don't know what that is.
The new Orange book, the survival guide.
The new survival guides. So there's a new Black Hill survival guide called the Orange book. You can order it now. It is IR based. The reason I remember it is because the article I wrote in it is called Know Your Enemy, and it's about threat actor profiling. But some great stuff. I'll throw the link in Discord or go check it out. You can order it on the web store.
I'd look at
the Spearfish General.
But yeah, the Orange book. So each of the survival guides are going to have a different color, and the color is going to have a theme in honor of the TSIC Rainbow series. So be on the lookout for that. And you should just go sign up for Recca. We give you all kinds of cool stuff. So please check it out. Are we ready?
Oh, we're gonna do the chicken news, right?
Are there actually chicken articles?
There is an actual chicken article, but it's literally the dude just comments on KFC real quick.
Oh yeah, I might have deleted that article, but it is funny. Let's talk about it. Okay, this is like a New Zealand. This is a New Zealand article, so those who don't live in New Zealand, you might be a little confused. But
was that it? I don't think it was in New Zealand. Was it?
There's another one. Yeah,
there was one about the dude pen testing a medical company, medical records.
Yeah, it's New Zealand.
Oh,
yeah,
let's
but it's fine. It's fine. It's chicken. We'll allow it. I'll post the link. I'm posting it in Discord. So here's the the headline is hilarious. Basically, a security researcher has claimed that the KFC app is more secure than Manage My Health, which, for those that don't understand, Manage My Health is a New Zealand-based version of like My Chart or something. I don't know. But basically, there's been a bunch of headlines where Manage My Health was hacked. Apparently, there were multiple healthcare breaches in New Zealand. And there's been the person's name is Callum McMenamin, who's a web standards consultant who's worked on government website security. He told a news article that I found this vulnerability, I reported it, no one cared. So yeah, he basically said the very quotable thing he said is that KFC is more secure than Manage My Health. I guess KFC is like. Basically, his justification for this was, in KFC, when you order chicken, there is mandatory 2-factor auth.
Let's
get on KFC.
That's off to KFC.
Yeah, right?
Dude, I cannot believe they require 2-factor to order chicken. That seems
that's the weirdest part about the article.
That is the weirdest part.
Not to say that's not good security, because it is, right? But don't you think it slows down the process to getting the chicken done? Like, is it you trying to get to the chicken sale here? Like,
or some people just check out. They're like, man,
yeah, they're like, no, man, I'm not doing 2-factor.
I'm doing a Red Rooster now, dude.
Kernel's about quality. Kernel doesn't cut corners on security.
Yeah. Why isn't it 13 factors? 13 factors and spices, or is it 11? Is it 13 or 11? I don't know. I don't know how many it is.
So it was like, did you ever see, this is years ago, where, so somebody discovered, okay, so what is it? It's like 13 herbs and spices, right?
11.
And somebody found out that if you looked at the Twitter account for KFC, it basically followed a bunch of dudes named Herb and the Spice Girls. And no, it gets better. The dude found that out and he tweeted it. And I guess it had been like that for years. He goes, I just realized that literally KFC only follows like 11 herbs and spice and the Spice Girls, right? Yeah. And KFC commissioned an art piece of the guy riding on the back of the Colonel Sanders, like a backpack, pointing off into the distance with Colonel Sanders and him going off into the woods together. So I have mad respect for KFC and their ability for marketing, but we got to wrap it up. All right.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Well,
Thanks everyone for attending.
Multi-feather.
She was sitting on that for a while.
There we go.
All right, on that terrible dad joke, it's time to end.